Okay guys, let's see how it is. I restarted the router. For now I'm not getting messages of a drop frame rate. Just let me know how it is. You know? Yeah, now you're gonna start seeing the stream. Let me know how it is, guys. Everything seems to be working. There's the stupid router again. I have to reset it. I heard that they can, the router can be reset in one particular interesting way. So we'll see how that it is. If it's true, anyways, I have no time to talk about side things. So let's begin this because it's very important topic and I want to get into the bottom of this. Now, and then I'm gonna tell you, of course, my personal take on that story. So first, guys, I have here a video, and that video basically incorporates what it has to be said on the topic. Most important things. There is a Bulgarian male, some Bulgarian sent an email of this YouTuber, and it's amazing. And just have to, let the video, continue so you can hear what this is about. This is the quartering, that's how the channel is called. I'm gonna put a link of his channel down below. And now guys, I'm gonna put my headphones and we're gonna watch this together. Not the whole video, just mostly, the most important part of it. Of course, if you wanna watch the whole video, again, I'm gonna put the link down below of that. Hi Avi, hi. Oh, yes, the Geritant is here. Thank you, my Grand General, Ivy. The Grand General of the Gerities. Okay, so again, guys, very important topic. Let's begin.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the quartering, and I had to break this topic out into its own video because of just how absurd it is. I talked on Saturday a little bit about the Witcher TV series getting even more woke. I did a video or a segment on a show a week or two back about how the cast the writer's room for the Witcher TV show would be is exceedingly woke on things like immigration and things like that. But now Ciri's gotten blacked. That's right. There's been a leak on whom they want to hire to play one of the most iconic characters in the series. And they want it to be a teenage black or Asian character. And it's pretty interesting. I want to go through, of course, what this means now, because when social justice folks do this type of thing, and make no mistake about it, this is a calculated, forced diversity move.
Okay, I'm going to make my mic a bit stronger. Hope you can hear me now better, Ivy. And I'm gonna stop the video at certain parts to comment on certain things. Hi to CGP, hi to Robert. Yeah, Ciri asked if she could play Ciri and then refused her because she was white. Actually, if in another universe, if that was possible, it would be terribly, it's gonna be hilarious and it's going to be terribly tragic at the same time. And of course, yeah. Hi to Matthew. So continue with the video, guys.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind.
Oh yeah, I wanted to comment on what he said, that this is completely forced. But I want to tell you my opinion after we finish the video, but I have to comment on some things, no doubt. So yeah, this is completely forced. And why it's forced? We're going to get to that, of course. So everything that has to be said, we're gonna hear it.
It goes against, in this case specifically, already pre-established lore, so it looks like exactly what it is. It pisses off existing fans, and it's just another license that gets stolen and completely destroyed by ideologues. This show will be a colossal failure because it will fail to draw in the core Witcher fans for a lot of reasons. And then it gives social justice leaning authors, writers, activists a reason to write the articles that they want. Because their entire point is that if you don't like this, okay, you're racist. That is their point. That is their narrative. Look, like it or you're a racist. And that is, of course, exceedingly annoying. It's not true for a number of reasons, and we've already seen the attacks start with Forbes now publishing an article about, you know, jerks, racists, and to share a little bit more about the lore. Okay, and I have probably 50 different emails like this. I'm not as invested in the Witcher lore, but I am invested in protecting what the fandom seeks their escapism.
Okay, guys, and now it's time for us to hear that email from one Bulgarian guy apparently, because as we are, Eastern European, what is what the story of The Witcher is, as lore is Eastern European story, so we are very close to that in terms of it's close to our heart, of course, it's close to our culture. So again, let's continue here.
From whether it be video games, tabletop games, things like that. Looks like Ciri goes woke. Let me explain why this is not cool. This is not about racism. This is exactly what I mean. Like, these articles put everyone on the defensive. You don't get to just have an opinion. Despite what every single SJW on Earth will try to transcend, The Witcher is a series of Polish books, and a setting is based in Eastern European folklore and mythology. While not Polish, I'm Bulgarian. I've always kept these series in a special place in my heart, since they were one of the few truly stellar pieces of media that I could relate to. The book and games were well produced and badass, and there are only places where I could find the elements from my culture, and way characters act and speak has always felt right.
Okay, just want to weigh in here that yes, Bulgarians, we are very ancient culture. We have a lot of history, a lot of kings, a lot of wars, a lot of great warriors, and so much ancient history. So everything that is in The Witcher, although it's not directly connected, it's not directly our story, it's very close to what our culture was and is, and we are all white people. Now, and that's just the origin of us, Now, today's times are different because obviously the world is going and mixing, and we do have gypsies. That's another topic on its own. We are not really mixing with them. Some Bulgarians are, but that's very rare cases. For the most part, we are still, for the most part, you can say Slavs and ancient Bulgarians. We are mixing between the two tribes. But they are very similar and with same roots to begin with. Yeah, so that's just for us. So I mean that I didn't want to, hop on that right away, but I just want to say that in the same way that you cannot make Black Panther white coming from Uganda, a black tribe of people, in the same way you cannot make Ciri other ethnicity. And of course, if you want a character like that, you just create one. You just be original, you just create one. You just get a new character into The Witcher's lore. Although they wanted to stay faithful to the book, as far as I understand, well, if you do want to do that, do not, never change a character because that is no longer this character. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. And then, of course, we're gonna read what you guys are saying. Hi to Boyan is here. Wow. It's Z. Yeah, hi to you guys. I do want to read everything that you guys are saying. We just have to get through the most important parts of the video, and then we can discuss everything.
So the problem here is about inclusion. Actually, it's about my inclusion by making.
Yeah, it's about my inclusion. Yeah, exactly. Our inclusion as people, and the main people that are supposed to be in this are. I mean, they do not want to include us. Okay, let's continue. It's just so tragic that it's funny.
Making Ciri black. They are alienating beloved character from our pop culture just to cater to an oversaturated market of fantasy and superheroes overseas. It isn't right, and many of us feel robbed of the one few popular pieces of media that are truly Eastern European. I agree. They're taking a main and beloved character out of its setting. There were no black people in medieval Poland, so if Ciri is suddenly black, they will need to provide a lore reason for it, which will separate her from her origins in the books and games. Many of us are not okay with this, and I personally lost all interest in ever watching the series. I totally understand and respect that. And just like I mentioned, we see the articles coming out yesterday on Forbes. A sadly predictable storm approaches as Netflix The Witcher looks to cast a non-white Ciri.
Okay, guys. So we finished the letter of my, you know, Bulgarian citizen, so to speak. And yeah, let's now read what you guys are saying. Okay. Matthew. Yeah, first it's ridiculous to put I know that you're kidding. I'm just saying that it's first of all, it's ridiculous to put all the races that are in existence in a place and time that they were none, you know? They were just none. You can be again creative. Some of the points that we have to get to continuing watching the video, but you can be creative, but not when it comes to something that's already reestablished. Uh, yeah, no, you can be creative in different ways, but not changing the core character. I don't want to repeat myself. We're gonna continue with the video. So what you guys are saying. Okay, Ivy says if that same thing happened to Baldur's Gate, HAWs hijacked the genre to push in their political agendas. The new game they produced was an utter failure. Well, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that. Wow, yeah, Bulgarian song. Wazare Wazare. Oh, really? Damn it. Have to see that. I mean, have to hear that. So somehow I missed that. I think that there was, like, there is Bulgarian music in Xena. I just missed that. Yeah, and about cultural appropriation, that is not even right. It shouldn't be, I mean, such notion should not be existing even because when you're, you know, that's a topic on itself. But you know, when for instance you want to look like a certain culture to copy their style just to like with the dreadlocks for instance, those are people that admire that, those are people that are fans of that hairstyle, so they want to also have it to pay tribute to it as you know. To have it is to pay tribute to it, you know. It's admiration, it's not stealing anything. They're not pretending to be theirs. They just want to say, look, I love that hairstyle, I want to also wear it. And that's awesome. That's awesome. It's a compliment to that hairstyle. Let's say a hairstyle. I mean, there's a lot of other things like costumes, how the kimono is made. The kimono, the way it's going, you know, one side is going this way, one side is going under that. You know, that is a very cool style that Jedi's are, you know, their robes are made like that, just in a more space way, just a bit of different design, more dynamic, but that inspired different kinds of designs. That's amazing. That is how art develops, that is how culture develops, you know. When something is seen, brought, used, that is how it lives through the ages, that's how it's made immortal. So it's very important to continue that and not like put a cross on it, you know? It's Bulgarian saying, let's say. Uh, not many subterraneans in Middle Easterns. Well, not really, not really. Well, we're not talking about, guys, today's times. Today's times, as I said, there's a lot of people from abroad here as well. A lot. I say a lot, but there's just not a lot. There's just more than like 10 years ago. But in ancient times, there wasn't. There wasn't. Okay? And this is in ancient times. So there's that. Okay. Okay. Zeko saying another thing. Ivy says exactly, Gary. To me, it's a betrayal of the story itself, and in truth, is indeed racist. Yes, it's racist towards us because they want to enforce different races on already established one, which is the definition of what forced it is. And it's a diversity for the sake of diversity, which is the worst thing. You're not doing anything like that. You're not helping your movement. You're not helping your cause in any way. And again, you know, back in the day, there's a really big example with Xena and how they did diversity back then without being actually it was forced, but I have to explain you that in another way because there's also a very interesting case with what happened with Xena back in those years. Okay. Okay. I just don't want to miss a thing. Okay, if that's the case, that makes me more interested in The Witcher. Fantasy games, okay. Alienating a character just for the color in order to perform racism of low expectations, double racism. Yeah. No, Martin, no. I don't want to talk about that because it's another topic, but basically the Nazis thought that only blonde people with blue eyes were true white. That was just their idea of that, but we are not. Yes, we came from that continent of Asia, but we don't have Asian, mix. We are fully white, so to speak. We don't have that. We went through that continent, but we don't have Asiatic admixtures or whatever. Yeah. Well, hi to Silent. Well, Ivy will tell you because he's very knowledgeable in history. Okay. Birds, among others, saw them as natural Slavs, sadly. Oh, okay, just don't argue, guys. Yes. Mm. Uh, what? White Slavs, Maluks, and they call black Slavs. We're black. There's no black. What do you mean black? Okay. The Xena is a fantasy, but that's, I mean, Witcher is fantasy, but when something is established already in that world, it should be like that what it was established. and she did travel around the world. That's again, that's different. But there's a lot of other examples in Xena that there's black people there, and we all know that there were not black people in ancient times. Not in the myths and legends that she represents, although she's not a myth herself, she's a made-up character. But she was living in that world of myths and legends. Mm. Yeah. And gypsies came a lot later, so we're not considering them in any way, shape, or form Bulgarian, because they're not. They're all over the world. They're tribes. They're different race. They have nothing to do with us. They just came here on that land and made a tent. That's basically what happened. Okay. Yeah, Xena did beat Hercules in terms of rating, a number of episodes, successfulness, all of that. But anyways, Xena is another topic, guys. That is very relevant right now. But let's continue with The Witcher.
A couple of months ago, I wrote an article on how I was worried that Netflix's The Witcher series seemed destined to attract an ugly sort of controversy. Why? Why did you think that? If the eventual realization of the characters and world did not match exactly what every fan of CD Projekt Red's games had in mind, this issue would be amplified given the show has a woman showrunner, Lauren S. Hisrich. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. People don't give a fuck what sex the show. Look, the showrunner could have been a non-binary otherkin furry, but if the show was true to its lore and paid at least some fan service, I guarantee nobody would care. But because you have a critique, it's because it's because you're a bigot. Remember that. A casting of Geralt recently came and went without any real issues, with Henry Cavill as an A-list pick confusing some, but no one seemed particularly upset about that. But now another casting issue is brewing, and I'm worried it will become very ugly. According to a recently found casting note, not publicly accessible, except everybody's seen it, Netflix Witcher series is looking for a 16 or 15-year-old black Asian minority ethnic girl who can play down to 13 or 14.
Okay, I don't really care about the age of Ciri. She can grow, in the series, which can be interesting. Mm. But the fact that they're looking for a totally different race is, again, the way that he's reading it, it really is sinking more in how terrible this is. Like, imagine Mulan, that's supposed to be, not sure. I mean, she's Asian. I just forgot if she was Chinese, but imagine Mulan grew up, in Asia, amongst Asian people, sorry, uh, being Asian originally, and all of a sudden a white actress must be picked to play Mulan. How would you feel about that? That's gonna destroy the character, and it's going to be no longer Mulan. They have to get this. When you change the race of a character, it's no longer that character. It's just not. It's just a different character carrying the same name, but it's not the same character. It's just not.
The role is for Ciri, the whitest girl of all time in the games, and described as white in the books as well.
Yes, exactly. If she's described like that, she must be that.
Stop, right? I mean, should we have a white Black Panther just because? Black Panther is black.
Exactly.
Ciri is white.
Exactly.
What's wrong with that?
Yes, nothing is wrong with Black Panther being black. He's called Black Panther. And Ciri described as one of the most whitest people that you can meet with white hair being white. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having different races and characters being a particular race. But if they are, they will stay, and they should stay in that race. Like
We
for
are looking for.
instance, I just remember that we have several Green Lanterns. We have Black Green Lantern, who is also very famous, and we have Hal Jordan, which is the original white Green Lantern. They are both very awesome, but they are separate characters. They are Green Lantern, they're carrying that mantle, but they are different Green Lanterns in the same way that Miles Morales, Spider-Man, is the other Spider-Man that is black. He has his own story, his own character, his own, uh, black parents, and all of that, his own freaking origin. In the same way that Peter Parker has his own. So two different Spider-Mans, two different stories, but one is Peter Parker, and he is what he is, with his story and race and everything that includes, and Miles Morales is the same. And that is how you create and do not steal or replace, Miles Morales did replace Peter Parker as Spider-Man, but Peter Parker is still originally Spider-Man, and he is still Peter Parker, So he didn't erase Peter Parker as a person or character, but Miles Morales, sorry, that name is kind of difficult for me for some reason, but he is his own Spider-Man, and that is how it should be. If you want another Spider-Man, create a new one with his story. You can make it the same race or a different one, but just be different, and that's what they did, and it's okay. What? Let me go back to the chat real quick. Yes, that's those are good shows. Charmed was my second very favorite show on the whole world. True Calling, another show that's not very famous, but it's one of the best. Dollhouse I watched. Firefly Serenity I missed. I don't know what's that. Yellow. You would feel bullshitty. Why? Maybe I missed something that you said or what I said, so I cannot connect what you're saying now. The yellow themselves. To grab someone else's creation, take liberties. And yes, it's you will feel yeah, I remember. That's why I have to read comments right away when I say something. Sometimes it's important, because you're referring to something that I said. No, that's if you're white, you're wrong. Yeah, and not to mention Battlefield censoring the two words white man in the chat, I think. That is recently something that blew up as well. How can white man be a bad word? Two words, white and man, I guess. And Luke Cage, I can imagine Luke Cage grew up in the ghettos, being a black guy, and all of a sudden, first season of Luke Cage, he is white now. White guy grew up between the black community. How will black community feel about this? They will not be happy, and for a good reason, because they just changed that freaking character and ruined it. Alita, the Hun, is on the portray a movie that was white instead of yellow. Okay. Yes. Correctness. Yes. Matthew, another Matthew? Hi, Matthew Jones. Yes, I am from Bulgaria. Just let me check something real quick, guys. In the meantime, while I'm checking this, of course, let's continue with the video.
An extraordinary young talent to lead, by the way, this series. She should be brave-hearted and must have something truly special about her. History previously said that the show would include a diverse cast, of course, trying to push back against the trope that fantasy can't have non-white characters because of historical accuracy. No, fantasy can. The Witcher can't. Why is this so fucking difficult to understand?
Exactly.
They're being purposely dishonest. And this is the shit that really boils my piss. Okay? No. Nobody has a problem with fantasy and ethnicity. What people have a problem with is co-opting a beloved existing storyline and then crowbarring it in. Why don't you just write your own story? Oh,
Exactly.
that's right. That takes creativity that clearly you're admitting you don't have. If you want to have an amazing sci-fi character full of BAMEs or sci-fi story, write it. Write the damn thing. Have a story about them all time traveling back to the 1500s and that's how they got there. How hard would that be?
Yeah, I just want to weigh in on something again that he brought up a very amazing point that fantasy can, Witcher can't. You know, they have to learn the freaking difference again that this is not like, I mean, completely like a big soup of things that has nothing set in stone, nothing established. Again, bringing back to that point that if something is already established as something in terms of race of a character, which is going to be a very pivotal part of his whole being, basically, that has to stay that way. And it is fantasy story, and you can make different stories in a fantasy world, different creatures, but they're already established like laws and established lore, established for instance how the world works, what kind of creatures are there in those world, what kind of swords, what kind of magic there it is, I mean it is used, there is in that world. So those things are already created because they are part of that world to explain how it is, in the same way a character is created, so that should not change. It could be they could be, you know, building, you know, around that, but they cannot change the base of it because it's already made. Like for instance, there can be a huge castle that we never heard about on that land, but it's still that castle is still gonna be built around the principles, the laws, the style of that world. You see where I'm going with this? So that is one of the things that they must understand. Mm. In the United States of America, yes, I know that statistic. Mm. Yeah, once upon a time, I used to watch it all the time. I just missed the last season. I just lost interest, basically. That's what happens. Game of Thrones. Mm, Game of Thrones. I can't think of an example from there right now because it's like medieval again, medieval times in a different world with an established continent type of interacting with the characters, families, and all of that. And again, they're, you know, as far as I remember, all white. Yeah, which is because if it's based on real medieval times in Europe, let's say, because yes, it is in Europe, but just broad, just let's say just Europe, not particular country. But in Europe, there were white people that time. There was no black people that time, and that's the story. So if they're following that kind of a, you know, real history, they're gonna, you know, make of course characters that are white, and there's a type of racism, you can say, in a way, between white people as well. Like, for some reason, if somebody's from different family, they're gonna treat him in the way that he's not like them, he's not so pure with better genetics, or so it's not exactly racism, but it's basically saying like, I have the better genes than you, and we have the better fighting abilities and all of that. So something like that did exist between some white people, white tribes, white nations, as we know, like the Nazis. Uh, Yeah. So let's continue.
But you're taking The Witcher and forcing it on an existing fandom. This show will fail miserably. And the original author has no issue at all with the world being diverse. Of course he doesn't. Even if he did, he couldn't say it. He would be ostracized from, he would be unpersoned immediately. I'm not saying I know what's in his head. I'm just saying I know what would happen to him if he said he had a problem with it. Some fans, many in the original Reset Era thread where this was discovered, are supportive of the idea. Of course, Reset Era is an SJW video. It's an SJW first, video game second forum. So of course they were supportive. It's the biggest hug box on the internet. Saying that as long as she has white hair and an eventual scar, it shouldn't really matter. But others, the usual crowd. What do they mean by usual crowd? What do they
What
mean?
the
What do they
heck? Like people that make
is exceeding.
sense. People that make sense are the usual crowd for them. Sorry, I
What's
just
wrong
skipped
with
it.
having that opinion? Reeks of racism. I hate this trend where everything nowadays must be ethnically diversified, even though it shouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. When there were not other type of races of people there, you know, during that time of history of the earth on those lands, there should not be diversity. When there wasn't, there should not be because there wasn't. You're lying. You're presenting something that it was not there. And it's exactly the same thing that's happening with that movie that I just like a month ago watched the trailer. I was totally in love with it. Um, damn it. It was Mary Queen of Scots. And there was Asian and black characters there. There were no Asian and black characters, especially working in the palace or somewhere around the queen. Just there were no just it it didn't happen yet. It just didn't happen. And this movie, although it's a historical movie, which is even more uh, insulting because it's not a fantasy. It presents what happened between Queen Mary, and Queen Elizabeth. You know, they are gonna take some liberties in terms of how the story went, to a certain extent, but it's still trying to be and claiming to be a historical movie. It says right there on the trailer, like the friendship that became the biggest rivalry and all of that. And the trailer goes on. You see a black character in the palace talking to someone very important. You see an Asian woman fixing the hair of Queen Elizabeth. I think yeah, it was or Queen Mary. But anyways, there's nothing. I mean, it doesn't matter which queen it was. There were no, Asian and black people then, especially not around the queen. It's just how the story of the world and the place was. So, how can you make a historical movie and force those characters, force those, you know, that diversity in? How can you do that? That's a literal historical crime to say the least. You're trying to change something that it doesn't need changing. It just does not need changing, because it's not true. That's the only thing that you need when we are depicting, let's say, Persia, ancient Persia, Persia, like we're saying here. Prince of Persia, he has certain ethnicity because he's a Persian, obviously. So, what kind of people are going to be around him? Well, Persians, obviously. And if because he's in more exotic places, in Africa, he could meet a black person. He could. So if he does, that will be totally okay and logical because he's living in that lands at times that there were black people, there were darker skinned people from his race as well, and lighter. So if they were depict them, if the story goes through certain lands, if the story goes, around such people, so show them, and you'll be right. You'll be correct to do that. But you're not correct to put someone of a different ethnicity and race in a story that just in story and times that there were none of those people there. It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, not true. And a lot of people that are not so well read in history, a lot of young people are going to be even very badly slipped by this. And this is because and here we are, and we have HAWs that don't want to read real history. And let's continue.
Because it goes against the characters as they've been described in the series. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with having that opinion? Shall we saw our ranting about diverging from source material and the game's Polish heritage. So what's wrong with that? My concern here is absolutely not for Ciri's whiteness, the sanctity of whiteness. But I think it would be cool to see a black or Asian here. Why? You say because why not? Okay, why? Write your own characters. Blaze your own trail.
Exactly.
Stop trying to co-opt existing stuff and force it in. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. But I'm instead worried about the young actress who will land the part, who will no doubt be the subject of untold amount of harassment. We have seen many, many, many cases of actors and actresses, usually minorities, providing no evidence, right? This is on Forbes. No,
that's absolutely ridiculous what he's saying, because nobody wants to harass a person because they're different race. They're gonna just be raging because of what the creators of whoever is in charge of the casting calls are doing. So nobody has anything against other races. Again, it's everything is artificially placed there. I don't need to explain that really. They're making it everything to be extremely artificial.
no evidence. You're talking about Kelly Marie Tran, who said she left Instagram because, it was too much pressure because she felt like she had to keep posting to keep the fans happy. And Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown. Again, a single, a nice little set of screenshots or some evidence might be nice, but, you can't be bothered with that. I can only imagine the hate that a certain small but ruthless segment of the gaming populace is going to hurl towards this young girl when she's actually cast. I hope she's protected. I hope she's prepared by those who are casting her to expect this. I definitely do not believe that Netflix should cast a white Ciri just to head off some of this. First of all, how about you hire the best person for the job? You're literally putting out a racist job listing. You're saying, we want this ethnicity. Okay? You can't have it both ways. And I'm not deeply invested in the lore, but I am deeply invested in the fandom, in protecting people's rights to have an opinion without being called terrible things. This character is not a BAME. She's white, and that's okay. It doesn't make you a racist to not like that, because this is an established character in books and in video games with established lineage and storyline and lore, and you're changing it for simple optics. I mean, if you believe for 1 second that these people aren't pushing an ideology, here's a writer on the show, right? Let's just take a look at their Twitter feed. By the way, I'm blocked by this person. Never even interacted with them, but I'm pre-blocked. I wonder why that is.
Oh God, that's insane.
Okay, you make sure that everyone knows you play Spider-Man. Congratulations. Oh, look at that. Spider-Man's got gay pride. Okay, well that's interesting.
What?
Let's see, tweeting about Trump, tweeting about Trump.
This is like a disease, guys, like literally disease, and people are getting infected by this. I don't know how. It's like somebody's deleting their original intelligence and replacing it with totally different ideologies and way of thinking. Like, what is happening here?
Tweeting about Trump. Another Spider-Man tweet, tweeting about Trump, tweeting about Trump. Global warming. Retweeting Gail Simone, one of the most vile women in comics.
God.
Oh, there's finally an article about the show you're working on. Okay, well that's good, but it's retweeting somebody else's word. Okay. I don't care about Henry Cavill as Witcher, by the way. So I mean, this person a different coat of paint to it. And fuck you for calling everyone a racist who disagrees with you. Their opinions are valid. How come you can't back yours up with anything but more diversity?
Yeah, well, that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line, guys. So guys, let's finish this. Say a few things. The video is, I mean, the stream is long enough as this. Let's catch up with your comments first. Oh wow, you wrote a lot. Yeah, the tutors have heard about that show. Yeah, there were no problems like this in previous shows and movies. There was no problems like this at all. They were just doing the correct ethnicities for the movies, and everything was fine. You know, nobody freaking argued about that. Yes, sometimes when they do like Egyptian movies, they're picking white actors to play Egyptian roles. That's not, you know, exactly correct. I mean, if they like put a blue-eyed actor to play Egyptian, that's obviously not correct. But for instance, Cleopatra was Greek. You know, she was, well, I think half Greek, but she was depicted as a white woman in her statues. And when they did like the last movie, I think, of Cleopatra, they did pick a woman that's a lot darker, and that should not be the case. I mean, she was totally different than what Cleopatra was depicted in history. So I don't think that that was correct. And in Xena, we saw two depictions of Cleopatra. One was basically, you can say, well, it's hard to describe. I mean, it's hard to say, but she was more close to Egyptian. Her skin was a bit more, like, you could say, more brown. She was looking white, but not like that white. I mean, she did look like she was closer, but she was not exactly. And then or before that, I'm sorry, there's not a Cleopatra that was black, which was again not correct at all, at all. But Xena is another story again on its own. Let's continue with your comments. I was getting to there some. Oh yeah. I mean that there were no. Sometimes there is no correct depiction when there's, well, we're talking about Egypt movies. Yeah, there's a problem there. There's not that correct depiction there. So that there's that. They are getting it wrong both ways when they pick Cleopatra and when they pick like totally white actors to play the gods, for instance. Although we have no idea how the gods look like. That's another topic. Persons who are Indo-Europeans before Semites and are now Indo-Europeans Sweden is today is not what the ancient year was. Yes, that is also true. Those people went extinct during the millennia. Yeah. Perhaps true truth. Yes. Now. And Erko brings a very good point. If black called you white, no problem. If white call my black man black racist. What? Yes, is that sometimes that is happening. Yeah, actually. There are more people. Aha. And that way more linear groups in each of them, and varies from region to region. In Iran alone, you have tons of different ethnicities, but that's a different subject. Yes, that's a different subject, Ivy. Yeah, but you know your stuff, and you're from Israel, of course. Uh, Not often considered as Arabs. Aha. The collective thinking. Yeah. Well, again, Ivy will tell you he knows. The characters will be able to source the video. Aha. Okay. Okay, okay. Americans, which, Near Gary, the dynasty during Cleo's time was Greek for centuries, but they guess showing her in an Antonian Octavian propaganda manner is more saucy. The ancient Egyptians do not exist anymore. The closest relatives they have are the Christians' Copts. Well, that would mean that they were pretty much white. Yeah, that will actually explain a lot of things. Or at least whiter than we thought. Oi, Lazare. Yeah, okay, Boyan. So, what I still wanted to say, guys, those headphones, they're no longer needed. So yeah, guys, basically, what I mean to say is that what we see now with The Witcher and what we see with a lot of movies and just very beloved properties, it has to stop. We cannot have forced diversity like that. There's a lot of other movies, like for instance, if we're making a modern movie about America, we can see there black people, we can see there sometimes Asian people, we can see there sometimes Indian people, because there are black, Asian, and Indian people in America right now. So it's completely normal and okay, and it's perfectly fine, and it's going to be true if they show them. Although again, if they not show them, because the story, although revolves around different circumstances, different places that maybe they were not, or they're not supposed to be for some reason, black or Asian people, for instance, or Indian people, that is okay too, because it's going to just be like that according to the story that it wants to tell. And that is just creative, creativity. It's creativity that is based on something that is true as well. And the artist, that is writing this, let's say, they would have the power to create that the way that they want to. Now, if again with Ciri is totally different, because she is already created the way that she is. She's already described in the books as white, pale, with white hair, blue eyes, or green eyes in this case. So she is, and that's it. That's the bottom line. She is. That's how she should be presented. That is what the type of the actress that they must look for is. And again, let's not, and we have to again mention that it's in Poland, medieval times, and again, there was white people there. Okay. I meet Indian from India, but also Native American. Yes, yes. But there's a lot of, there's not a lot of, there's still not a lot, but there are some Indian people from India in America. You know, like in that movie that I saw with John Cena, the cog blockers, or blockers. He had an Indian wife, which is not that it's not possible, but the way the movie was done, it also seemed kind of forced, because they wanted to put an Indian girl to be their daughter, and that Indian girl was like fully Indian. There were no, like, she didn't look mixed at all. She looked fully Indian, which is again forced and illogical and purposely made that way. She didn't look mixed, not one bit. You see John, blue-eyed guy, super white. All of a sudden you see his Indian wife and their kid is like fully Indian. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. she's gonna look mixed. And often mixed kids, just people that are, you know, made from two different races, are one of the most beautiful people in the world, actually. And you can tell that because they always get like the best from both races, and when it mixed, it looks great. They look very beautiful. You know. So, and they look very unique. Like you can see the, you know, the features of both races. And they're always, or most of the times at least, what I've seen, combined in the best way possible, which is very interesting. Very interesting. So what is wrong with that? What is wrong with picking a mixed race girl to play a mixed race girl? Why did they pick like a full Indian girl? This is like, again, racism towards white people. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's so subtle. They try to make it like not notice it, but at the same time, it's in your face and it's totally noticeable. Now, what I wanted to say about Dina that was weird, you know, very quickly because I really don't have a lot of time. I'm talking for like an hour now. First, Ivy, you're right 100%, Gary. I mean, if they wish, they can write about anything, but they need to do the writing work themselves. It's easier to just take an established beloved work. Yeah, that's exactly it. But you cannot take an established beloved work because that is going to be wrong by itself. That is our point. If Ciri was black, living in like Africa, and her story was black, I mean, everything was black around that. Her story, her people, her lineage, everything, and they all of a sudden make her white with white hair. What is that going to be? That's gonna be another character, not her. That's gonna make no sense because she grew up in different lands, among different people. Okay, we can have Mowgli, for instance, like a white kid falling in the jungle, you know, raised by animals. He's white because he was falling in the jungle. His plane was there. You know, that's different. That's different. And he can still. And I mean, you have to make him white if the story says that he's white. You know. Another thing that I recently heard Grace Randall say, I just cannot get over this, because you know Iron Fist is now relevant. I mean, he's relevant. I mean, the story. I mean, the show just came. You know, second season. Grace Randolph says, "Wow, he has to be. I mean, he's protecting Chinatown. How can he protect Chinatown? He's not, you know, Chinese." Excuse me, Grace. Are you hearing yourself? Because that's a different thing. The story about Iron Fist is a white guy with a firm in America. He failed that. I mean, he went. Their plane crashed when, you know, he was a kid. His whole family died. He was taken by all those monks and trained in that environment. That is his story, original story. And then he lives in places that there were, I mean, he lives in Chinatown, let's say. I'm not sure if he lives exactly there, but he lives, well, close to there. So, or in there, I mean, he lives there, okay, let's say it. Even if he's close, not exactly there, he still lives in that area. And if he wants to protect people that are Chinese, he can do that because he's a hero. He's a hero to all. What you want, Grace? Like for him to be like, you're Asian. Oh, they're killing you in the middle of the day during this, you know, there's people walking around. They killing an Asian guy. I'm not gonna do anything because there was a scene like that, and there was Asian guy killed right in front of him, and he was still alive. Adam Fist trying to help him is staying above him trying to stop the bleeding. One other Asian guy standing on the street among all Asian guys, and he's filming it with his cell phone. It's like an attraction for him that this other Asian guy is dying there on the pavement. You see? So Iron Fist, the white guy, is trying to help this Asian guy not to die. But the other Asian guy doesn't care. He wants to film this Asian other guy dying. Chinese guy. I mean, you get the point. And Grace is saying like, how can we have a white hero protecting the Asians? Well, Grace, it's because he is Iron Fist and he happens to live there, and in that area of Chinatown, and he's a hero, and when he sees someone in danger he's gonna help them because he's a hero, and he's not gonna, you know, flip a coin and be Asian all of a sudden so he can have the right to protect Asians. You want to make a total, you know, what was the word for that, separation of races forcibly? Are you crazy? What logic is that? Like, Superman is white, he will no longer now protect black people or Asian people. No. What? uh, or make Iron Fist. I mean, she said that before, like make Iron Fist Asian because he's that he's in that culture. No, Grace, no. The point is that he is a white guy coming from a rich family. He fell there. He was in those circumstances. That's a creative choice of the story. That's an interesting story. Why can not why Asian people can be depicted going in other countries, mixing with other people living in their you know, countries and cities, how we have Chinese here that have Chinese restaurants, they have their business here, they live here, we love that food, we eat that food, we are living together, there's no problems at all. Why that cannot be the case? But white person to live there, I mean, to fail there, to be, you know, taught uh martial arts, why he cannot be this person all of a sudden? Why not? Why not? It's just the way that the story goes, because the world is not like separated by big walls in the sky. You know, people go in different countries, you know, and this way, and this circumstances was an accident in this case, you know. So yeah, and his girlfriend is Asian because, well, she's great. But that's another topic, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not forced diversity. She was there. She was a teacher. They have a lot in common. It's awesome. It's great. I love to see them on screen. I mean, I love to see her on screen. He's much more bland as a character. But that's another topic now. Let's continue with what you are saying. I have to really finish this. I haven't said anything about Xena yet, but yeah. Okay. It's 1 hour now. I'm talking 1 hour. Matthew, what you're saying about Indians from India, if they are good, okay, that's another topic on itself. We're not talking about what they're good at, you know. We're talking about that they are there. Yeah, it has to make sense. That's what I'm saying. It has to make sense. Exactly. Okay. You see? Southern Europe was under conquest. Yes. Well, guys, you're talking about stories. I mean, real history. That's another thing. Yeah. And Turks. Yeah. So that's about Iron Fist. Another ridiculous example that he. I mean, I'm happy that he is depicted white as he is in the comic books, and they did stay faithful to that. Thankfully, they did stay faithful to that. And now, first, I'm gonna say, I mean, very quickly to finish my, you know, everything I want to say about Xena is that, you know, when I was young, when I still young, obviously, when I was a kid and I watched Xena, and I saw those black actors play Greek people. First I was like, okay, I mean, I was like, well, there are no black people there, but in the same time, you know, well, Xena is depicting ancient Greece, and the same time Xena is depicting the realm and the world of ancient Greek mythology. In the same way, it is fantasy because Xena is a made-up character and she's integrated in real history with Caesar, with Cleopatra, and in those myths and legends. So in that case, I got very quickly used to seeing those actors playing those roles, and I totally forgot that they were black. I did. I forgot. Like one guy was Marcus, one of her biggest loves, if not the biggest. One guy was damn it, I forgot his name, but he was famous, I think, in Greek mythology. Damn it, how was his name? He had a ship that was cursed, and nobody got out there, and he was cursed to roam the seas by Poseidon. Yes, we got distracted. So yeah, so guys, I forgot about that they were black. Totally. Those actors were great for that roles. I mean, for those roles, they were perfect. Yeah, sometimes we can have this case that they're picking a character, I mean, an actor that's not that race, but he's perfect for that role. That is possible. But also, the differences are that those guys, okay, the one guy that I think is really famous in mythology shouldn't be changed. He just shouldn't. There's no, it didn't make any sense for him to be changed. Kid Crops, yes, his name was Kid Crops. If this guy was in mythology or he existed, he was white for sure, for sure. So that should not be changed. Marcus as well, unless he came from an Africa or something, he should also be white. So yeah, it's one of those cases that um, it's there's difference, Marcus, I have no idea that that was ever in mythology. If he's completely made out character, although he is set in Greece, I don't mind him to be black, because yes, it's going to be like forced diversity again, like 100% forced, but at least they do not take an established character and changing it, making it into something else, something that he is not. He is Marcus, and that's it. But yeah, that's another example from the past, how they used to do things back then. Is not right in terms of, when it's changing some character. Uh, but at least silver lining to this, they were very great actors, were great in those roles. They do. But now, how they want to make Buffy black again, super wrong. Should not be done. Buffy is white. That is how she should stay. If you want to make another Buffy, just don't call her Buffy and be another character. That's it. Like make another killer. Story about another killer, because we all know that killers are created and they appear when another killer is dead. So we can have like another killer, however her name should be, and she could be black, but she cannot be Buffy as Buffy, because Buffy is again white. That is it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. You are having a very interesting historical discussion here, I see. Yeah, interesting stuff, guys, but really have to go. You can always wait in on the last things that I said about Xena, but again, it's a different story. And the charm thing that changed again the races of the characters, the same thing is the same thing. It's forced, it's wrong, it should not be done. Yes, it's Matthew, yes, thank you for this example. We talked about this as well before in previous streams. Again, it's very wrong. Piper, Prue, and Phoebe are white, and they'll always be white no matter how they will not change them in the new series. Yeah, so that is why we, the very faithful fans of Charmed, do not accept this series, and we do not see those characters as the same characters, because they're not. They're different, they act differently, they look differently, they're different races again. They're totally freaking different. Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you, Matthew, for following me on Instagram. Thank you very much. Well, hopefully this here stays as it is in the freaking books and games. Garities, you are great. Thank you very much. Sending lots of kisses to you. Thank you for watching the stream. And thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Erko. Thank you, Ivy. Thank you to everybody, really, guys. You know, I appreciate it very much so. So, till next time with me, Gary G Reviews by my Gary T's.